This video, I'm going to be covering all of the basics of React, so you know how to get started building projects with ReactJS. So let's get started now. Before we continue with the Create React App website, we need to first of all open the Visual Studio. We should first open our Visual Studio Code, which I've opened with a complete blank project. And the first thing we need to also do is to create our React application. And to do that, you need to be inside of a folder that has no capital letter and no space in the name of the folder. So let's call the folder learn React.js. You can see it right here with the dashes in the name instead of spaces. Then we need to make sure we have Node.js installed by typing node-v. And if you see a version, then that means you have Node installed. But if you don't see any version instead, or you saw error, that means you don't have Node installed. You can simply go to Google and type in Node.js and click on the first link. Then download the one that I said recommended for most users. Because I already have Node in my system, so I don't need to install it again. Once you've confirmed Node.js is installed, we need to then run our Create React app with npx. So before we can do that on the terminal, we need to go to the website, open area 1, and click on Get Started. Then scroll down with a quick under Quick Start. You can select. We have npx. npx is similar. It's a lot like npm, but instead of downloading something, it's actually going to run the command for you. And we want to run the command create react app with a dot at the end of the folder, which is actually the particular folder we want to use. So let's copy npx react. Let's leave my app and come over here and paste it. Like I said earlier on, need to put dots, so the npx will actually know that we want to create a React app in this folder we've already created. So let's click enter. So it's going to start to create our entire React app, and it takes quite a while to download everything. Once that's finished downloading everything, you can see that we have tons of new files and folder at the left side of the editor. Now if we scroll up the terminal, we have a bunch of commands. We have a bunch of commands we can use inside of our application, and the main one to worry about is the npm start, which is going to allow us to start up our development server, and then npm run build. This is going to build our application, minify all of our files, and give us a production version of our application that we can deploy on the server. We have npm test, which help us to you can use to run tests on the application, but this two is the one we are going to use now. Also, we can take a look over at our files we have over here. If you look at the node module, this holds most of all of our libraries. Then inside the public folder, we have our index.html. So it holds this index.html file and some asset files inside it. Then if you look inside the index.html, we are rendering only one div. This allows us to render all of our React code onto the browser in this div. So if we open the src folder and look inside the index.js, you can see that we actually render our content to pass in here at a certain element. You can see that we are getting the root element, which is the element we saw inside the HTML file, and we are rendering everything from the app component inside the root element. And if we go into the app component, you can see that it's rendering just this boilerplate code that comes when we create a React application. So let's start up the server. To start up the server, you can click on your terminal. You can press Ctrl Command J to toggle the terminal. Click on terminal, then typing. Once that's successfully compiled the code, you should see a success message showing with the link localhost 3000. So I've loaded up this on my browser. Let me click on my browser. You can see it here. So let me move the code and listen by each side so we can be seeing code in a time changes is made. So if you want to change something, for example, instead of having learn React, we can write learn React build to build learn React to build React app. In less than any seconds, you'll see changes appear on the browser, which is really great. But for our case, we want to actually remove all of the boilerplate code. So I'm going to remove everything here and return null. Which, if we save, the browser will be empty. So let's remove the CSS files and so let's make it empty. So let's go back to index.js to remove most of the files that we don't need here. Like we don't need the index.js. So once we are done, we have a blank browser. So for this video, we are going to be building a really simple to-do list application because they are so good at showing us all of the things that you need to learn with React. So to get started, the first thing we are going to return some JSS. So you can come inside our app component and return a parenthesis, more like you're doing a return in JavaScript function. Then the other two, what we're going to return is to return what we call JSX. JSX is more like an HTML kind of structure, but in ReactJS. So we are rendering this component here, but the component is not yet created. So we need to copy this and come over to src file folder and type in to-do list.js. So we've created a file, but we've not returned anything inside the file. So I already have a plugin called React ES7 Plus React Redux React Native, which helps me to create a simple React project. Like if I write in RFC, you can see the list. Then I select RFCE and click enter, because it has given me a simple function, React component function. So I can click on save, then come over to my app.js and import. So I need to import it to do list. So when I've imported, the error has gone. I click on save and you should see to list by the browser side. So inside our app.js, since we have rendered the to-do list component, for it to do, we need an input type. So let's press enter and type in input. So make the type input type text. So if we save, we're immediately going to get an error, and that's because we can't return two JSS elements. Rather, we can only return only one element. So what we can do is to wrap these two elements inside of an empty element, which is called a fragment, and it allows us to return multiple items, multiple elements inside it. So let's click on it, let's save this, and you can see the error is gone. So we've cleared the error. If we type into our input tag, nothing works. So let's add two buttons, one to add to do and the other one to play to add to do. And let's say I'll go one to play completed to do. So just click enter save. I'm going to see one to clear to do and the other one to do. So let's add something below it like a div. And this div shows us how many to this left. Also currency item. So the next thing we're going to do now is to make this computer functional. Because if you click on anything, nothing works here. So you need to first of all create a state, add a state. And this state helps us to let's add in the use state. So a use state is a React hook that render when user interacts with our application. So it helps us to hold some data in it. And we can click enter and let's put an array in it. And this React hook return items in it. So we can structure it into to get the two items. The first one we can name it anything we want. We can call this one to do, which give us the data, and the other one we call set to do. Set to do we can use to update the data in the state. So let's add one of the items here. We can have two items here. To do one and then to do two. Inclusive. So what we're going to do is we want to render what is inside of our state in the browser here at the top of the computer. So what we can do is to take this to do and pass it inside the to-do list, which is actually called a prop. So for it to pass data from the parent element into the child element is called a prop. So I can call this, whatever I like, to-do list. I pass in to-do inside here. So if we click on save, nothing shows. So we need to take the to-do list and go into our to-do list component. Then we can call this prop. So like I said, passing data from the parent to child convert is called prop. So we can structure this prop to get the to-do list item. So let's since it's an array, let's loop through the to-do list. Put this to do. Alright guys, let's do it on the this is input. ReactJS is inside of it. Or you can actually just remove everything here, but let's leave it like this. Then let's render a component. Let's call this to do. So today is not existing. We need to create a function, a component, which we will call to do.js and click enter. Let's type in the FRS to create a boilerplate. To do. So we can pass this prop here. Let's render prop dot to do. Oh, let's call it name. Well, let me just structure it here, consider. Yeah, this is fine. Let's go back and add, because we didn't pass this and pass to do equals to. equals to do. I remember we need to import the to do from into the to do list component. So when we enter save, you can see that the items from the state are showing. Then we see that we have an issue here telling us that one in each element. So in order to get this kind of console message, I have a package called console. It's supposed to be up. Okay, console ninja. So this helped me to show my, my console message on the editor itself. So it's giving us one, and if we try and inspect this page, let's inspect. Close this and drag this up. You can see that it's giving us one, that each child in a list should have a unique key. So what does this thing mean? It means that since this is a loop, we are looping through an array. In order for React to update any particular element, you need to use a key to identify each element. So React doesn't want to update all the elements at once. So anyone that is updated, we have to update the element. So let's add a key here. We can. Let's just put it to do, and since we have index here, let's pass the index here. You can see that the warning, if we inspect this again, refresh, so that the warning is gone. So we've shown the data here. So we want to add a checkbox here to identify which of the to-do has been completed, or which has not been completed. So let's go back to the to-do. Let's to ReactJS, and let's change this data from array, or let's render an object. Let's have an ID of 1, and the name, we can call the name to do, then complete. Let's complete it first. So if we save, should draw some error here because we've changed this state. So we want to use it completed here to identify which of the to-do has been completed. So let's go back to our to-do list. So this is giving us a map without a function, blah blah blah. So let's come over here and put this to just hide this one. So let's go inside it to them and remove the structure. We can also leave the structure, but let's just use prop.name instead. So I don't know why it's showing error. It's telling us that the to-do list is not a function. So let's go back to the ReactJS. Sorry guys, we need to put the array back. I missed the array. Let's put the array back. Like this issue for me. If we ready to do. Oh, okay. We need to do dot name. Sorry. See that show. But let's go back. I don't like the long name. Let's name this state. So let's name this one name and call it Lagos name. Yeah. Now let's go back to or to do just on weather name. So you can see that we have this list. We can go back to ReactJS and you can add more if you like. You can call this to do one, to do two. So let's add a checkbox. Let's go back to our to do and add a checkbox here beside this. Use the type checkbox. You should see that we have so guys, let's grab this our input and text tag inside of a label so it looks good. So I've moved them inside input label and let's click save. So nothing was here. So the next thing we are going to do is to go back to our app.js and let's remove the test data we added here and leave the array empty. So everything is gone. So the next thing we need to do again is you need to add a function, a handle function or click function on the add to, so we can be able to add what we type in here. So let's call this type in a function. Can call it, let's use normal function handle. I love using I love using ES6. I don't know, handle hard to do. Let's take this and add it into just one click event. So when we click on this button, you should update the state of this this input tag. But there's a problem. We don't know how we're going to get the value from the input tag. So we can simply call a state. Let's use, we can call this value, set value, and make this a string. Then come over to the input tag and put value there. And we can call it or change. We can make this set value. Let's put the e target. Let's get the value from the onChange handler. So we need to put the so let me format this just so you see it. So very formatted. So we've added the set value. So when we type, it should be in the state. So let's come over to here and what we need to do next is to we need to check if the value is null. If the value is empty, we can do if not, or we can use string return. Or if there is value, we need to set the value. So in order to set the value, we need to set to do. And in order to update the state, we need to know what the previous state, so that if we put in the values in this state like this, it will update, to always update the set to the state, and the previous one will not exist again. So what we need to do is React give us some We can call this previous state. So it gives us a previous state, so we can know what the previous state is. And then we can turn it like this, and we can call the previous state like this. So we'll update with the existing one. Yes. So we need to add the array back here and then structure the previous state. Since we have an empty in case any state has been added before, we can add another one to that state. So let's do it, and let's add in the ID of one, and the name will be our value. And pass the value here. Then completed will be false. So when we add this, we need to clear the state. Let's set state to set state value to empty. So provide it. If I type in my to do one and click add to do two, you can see it's clearing the state to do three. So, but the problem we have is that the ID we are using here is only ID 143 item, which is very bad. So what we can do to have dynamic ID, we need to install a package called UUID. So we can come to our terminal. If you want to stop the terminal, you can stop, but you can just leave the terminal into two, and let's install a package called UUID. This gives us like regenerated ID for us to use. So we can install the ID. Let's close the terminal and import it here. UUID v4. UUID. We're having trouble with the package. We're having trouble with importing the ID, so I have to go to the npm package of UUID to get the re-importation of it. So we can copy this and paste it here. Then take this and go to where we see the ID and wrap it. So this will then generate us a random ID that we can switch on. In order to see this data, we can simply console log to do. So you can see that. So it's giving us the previous one we have. Let's refresh our one. So it's empty now. So let's try and add expect. So I have an empty array. Let's type in my to do. Let's clear this and click on add. Click on add, you can see what we have here. I don't know why it's showing multiple, but look at it here. You can see the ID was generated for us with the name and the completed first. Let's remove this. Let's remove this to do here and click on save. So now we can add multiple to do. My work to do. So now the next thing we need to do is to handle how the check to know the to do that is completed. Now the completed part of the checkbox is not working yet. So for the completed, we need to create a function. So let's create a function. We call it double to do. So this double to do will help us to toggle the completed checkbox when to make it completed and to also set to incompleted. So first we need to first of all call this to destructure the states. So we don't need to make changes on the actual state. We need to first of all copy the state right like this. Then let's find the to do. And the to do just find the actual to do with the to do ID. So we're going to pass in. We're going to get the ID when we are passing it. Where we are then putting the function. So let's do to do.id is equal to ID. So we're going to find a particular to do that matches where the ID matches with this ID that we passed here. So let's set the to do to completed to not to do those completed. So then let's update our to do. Let's update our need to do. Okay. So let's update it to do. You can press access to the new so we need to pass on the double to do tool where the checkbox exists, and the checkbox exists in the to-do.js component, and we need to pass it through from the app.js into the to-do list and into the to-do.js component. So let's pass it here. Let's call it double to do. Then let's go into the to-do list component here and pass it to let's pass it here. Double to do. Let's put it prop here. Then inside the to do, we can set the double to do here because we need to pass the ID. So let's change this on change. Let's call this undo check. Let's call it undo check. What we can do here is to create a function called handle check. Then we need to get the prop dots. Let me get the prop dots and set this to prop dots. Let me get the ID from the prop. I can call this ID. ID equals to prop dots. We can call this. Oh, we did not pass the ID here. Let's pass the ID because it is structured the to do, because we're not passing the to do entirely. We're passing only the name and the key, which we can access the key. So we need to pass the ID here. So pass the ID. We can get the ID from prop.id. Let's remove this. We don't need this. We can call this prop.id. And you can see. Let's refresh our page and let's add so let's type in the value and just call it my to do. and click add, then call this to do one and click enter. Then when we check this, you can actually know whether it is checked or not. So what we can do is to come inside the ReactJS and let's consult this to do. Let's log to those. Let's uncheck this first. So let's save. The package I'm using, the plugin I'm using will actually show me my data. So you can see that the first item in the list. Okay, we can hover over it to see it very well. You can see showing ID one name completed and the other one is false. So the first one is for, let's check this. When we check this, you can see that the first one is true. If we hover this again, see that the first one is true and the second one is false. See that the toggle to do function is actually working. If we check the to do one, then come over here and hover, you can see that we're actually getting the completed true. So all of them are true. What's the first one and second one? So let's add like about 4 new to do. Let me add about 4 because we want to do the 0 left to do next. So okay. New to do and what you work and put continue. So we've added the 4 items here. Let's go back to the app.js, remove the console, and let's render this. So to do this, we need to filter the to-dos that are not yet completed. So let's do filter and do to do. Let's put our function. Then we're going to do not to get the to do that are not completed, that are actually false completed. Then to do this, if we save this, it's going to give us an error. So we need to put the length, because we can actually render the object, because in our state we have object in it. So we need to get the length of. So this is returning an array. I mean, so guys, it's returning an array. Filter return array. So the list of the uncompleted items to do in the to-dos state. So let's click on save. You can see it's actually until let's add them again. Then click. So 1 left to do. Let's click my to do. New project. Improved. New meeting. Let's click on save and let's click on it. Then make another, we'll call this work. You can see that we are having 4 left to do with 4 projects that are incompleted. So let's select the first one. You can see that we have 3 left to do. If you select the second one, third one, we are having only 1 left to do. And when we check in the last one, we have still left to do. You can actually see that it is working. We can add new project again. Hangout. And click on enter, so that we still have 1 left to do. So you can see that most of the function are already working. But we forgot something to do. We forgot to clear the completed to do in our list. So let's go ahead and fix the completed to do. So guys, let's move on to let's go back to the app.js function and then to implement the clear complete to do. So let's add launch on click event here. We should call it handle clear. Let's just call it handle clear. Okay. Handle clear to do. So let's come over here and type in the function. So what we need to do inside the function is to clear out the completed to do that is completed, and we need to leave the ones that are not completed. So in order to do that, we need to also come over here, type in new to do. We're not going to the structure, rather we're going to filter the ones just completed. Let's filter the ones that are not completed and set our to do. Let's put in to do. Sorry. You have to click on save. Let's check out 2 and click on completed. You can see that 2 of them has been cleared out, so we're having a little bit, and this one is actually working. Then if we select one more and clear, you can see that we're having 2. So the clear completed to do is already working very fine, and that is great. So the next thing we need to do is if I try and refresh my page, everything that we have doing, all the to do we've added has been cleared out. This is because it does not save the data. So let's save it temporarily, but not for a long period of time. So you can actually save the data. So we are to allow to do that, to actually have our data being stored like a database, we need to use the browser local storage, which you can come over here and implement. So let's come over here and implement it. So to implement the local storage, we need to use what we call use effect. So use effect is also a React hook that performs side effect on our component. So we can click on use effect and it returns a function. So let's write our local storage here. Local storage will set item. So in order to save our item, we need to add a key. So I don't want to use to do as a key. I can come over here and type in console.local storage key. Then I can call this to do. So you can use any key, you can use any random here. So I can use this local storage key instead of this. I'll just add it here. And local storage does not save most of the data in string, so that's why I'm using just a stringify to convert our list of data in form of string. And we also need to add, because the editor is telling us that we missed something here. Why this array is existing here is because we need to add our to do to it. So what this means, it means that anytime changes happen on this use state, it will trigger the use effect to run this function again. So when we make changes on the to do, like we add new to do or we clear some to do, it triggers this function, and the local storage then save the data that is already in the use state. So let's save this and add our to do. So if I come over here and write in my to do, and click on add to do, to do 1, and click on add. Then I can check and I can clear it one left. I'm gonna check the same way is working, but if I refresh, it's still clearing out. So what we need to also do now is to fetch what we have saved. So now to save it, we have to fetch what we have saved. We need to come below this and call the same use effect again function. But this time around, we are not going to set anything inside because we just want it to call once. So when you do not add any value inside the array and you leave it empty, you're telling use effect to call this function, use effect to call this function once the page loads up. So what we need to do now is to write our local storage, and this time around get item. And to get item, we need to pass the key, and we need to pass in, we need to get the. So let's save for let's call this to this. Let me just call it results. Let's put, and let's set our to do to the results and click on save. But you can see that we have issue here. When we save this, what happened here is that remember that local storage saves our data in string, and when we're updating our state here, our to-do state, is saving it in form of string, and which is a problem. So we need to pierce this data JSON.pierce to convert it from JSON string. So you can see that the error has cleared out. So let's try and add our data again. Let's refresh and let's add and we're done. So to do add to do add and to do to add, and let's check and let's refresh. So I really don't know what's, so sorry guys, so I know what is the cause of this. We need to, so anytime, let me inspect first so I can show you where's the problem. Let's come to application and come over to local storage. You can see that our local storage has saved the key we are using here. You can see to do that too. If I type in so we see to do. So let me type in my to do and click on add to do. You can see that the data is saving, or when I try to refresh again, data is gone. This is because we are also, when we refresh, the data is empty and we are setting the empty state to the local storage area. So the empty state has already updated the existing data. So to do that, we need to do a check that the to-do list length. But before we save, we need to make sure that the to-do list length is greater than 0. Then let's save. So when we type in to do 1 and click on add to do 2 and click on add to do 3 and click on add. You can see that we have the data already here. Let's then get false. So when I update the state again, you can see that we have intro here. But now if I refresh, so that we're having the data to do 1, to do 2, to do 3, but we have a problem. The check here is showing it's not checked, but yeah, we're having the completed issue. So we need to go back to our to do component and let us add a. Let's come over here and pass in completed. Let's obey this. Let's go into the to-do and add here check is equals to props dot completed. So we can see that it has been set to true. Then when we up change it to first, our data here has changed to first. So you can see that. Let's try again. And if we refresh, everything is in place. And if we clear out data and refresh, we're having only one remaining. So guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and share this video.